Emily had only been working at the company for a few weeks. She was quiet, polite, and always on time. In the big gray office full of ringing phones and clicking keyboards, she mostly kept her head down and did her work. She didn't join lunch conversations, and she never overshared. People thought she was just shy. Most days Emily wore long-sleeved sweaters, even when the office felt warm. No one really thought much of it. Maybe she was just cold all the time, they joked. But one Friday in early summer, the heat outside reached over 90 degrees. That day, Emily showed up in a short-sleeved white blouse. At first, no one said anything. But by the time she walked to the break room to pour her coffee, a few coworkers had already noticed the tattoo on her upper right arm. It was sharp and dark, like it had been done recently. Bold black numbers stretched across her skin, with a small military-style insignia just above it. It didn't look like any ordinary tattoo. It looked official, or maybe even historical. People glanced at it, then at each other. Some whispered. Some looked uncomfortable, but Emily said nothing. Later that day, during a team meeting, Mr. Hargrove, the regional director, caught sight of it. His voice paused mid-sentence. His eyes narrowed slightly, trying to read the numbers. He didn't say anything in front of the team, but his whole mood shifted. Something about that tattoo had changed the air in the room. Emily didn't notice. Or maybe she did, but her face stayed calm, her hands folded in her lap. She didn't offer an explanation, and no one dared to ask. Not yet. The next Monday, the office felt different. The usual chatter was quieter, and more eyes were on Emily than ever before. It wasn't just the tattoo now, it was the silence around it. People wanted to know what it meant, but nobody dared to ask her directly. At her desk, Emily kept working, as if nothing had changed. But when Mr. Hargrove called her into his office after lunch, her heart beat faster. He sat behind his big desk, arms crossed. "Emily," he began carefully. "I noticed your tattoo last week. It's unusual. Can you tell me about it?" Emily looked down at her hands for a moment, then met his gaze. "It's part of my family history," she said softly. "It's a reminder." Mr. Hargrove nodded slowly, but there was still something unreadable in his eyes. Family history. She hesitated, but didn't explain further. Word soon spread anyway. Some coworkers whispered about her in the break room. Is it military? Is she a veteran? Maybe it's a prison number. Others were more cautious, unsure what to think. One coworker, Lisa, who had always been friendly to Emily, stopped by her desk. "If you ever want to talk, I'm here," she said kindly. Emily smiled faintly. "Thanks, Lisa." That afternoon, a company-wide email went out reminding everyone about professionalism and respect. It seemed like a message for more than just the usual reminders. Days passed. The whispers didn't stop. Then one afternoon, as Emily was leaving, Mr. Hargrove stopped her in the hallway. "Emily, can I ask you something personal?" he said quietly. She nodded. "Those numbers, are they real? What do they mean?" Emily's calm mask slipped for a moment. "They're a part of who I am. And sometimes, the past isn't easy to explain." Mr. Hargrove nodded again, a mix of curiosity and respect in his eyes. But that moment was just the beginning. Days after the hallway conversation, Emily's quiet life at the office began to unravel. It started with a rumor. Someone in the building had Googled the numbers from her tattoo and shared what they found. The tattoo wasn't just any number, it was a prisoner identification number from a concentration camp during World War II. Suddenly, Emily wasn't just the quiet new employee. She was linked to something much bigger, much darker. Whispers turned into questions. People stared at her differently. Some avoided her. Others tried to approach, but Emily stayed guarded, clutching her purse tighter as she moved through the office. One afternoon, Lisa sat down next to Emily during lunch. "Emily, I read about your tattoo," she said gently. "It's from a Holocaust camp, right? Is your family connected to that?" Emily took a deep breath, her voice low but steady. "Yes. My grandmother survived that camp. She was taken when she was just a girl. The tattoo was forced on her wrist. It's a mark she carried for her whole life." Lisa's eyes filled with tears. That's incredible. I'm so sorry. Emily nodded. My grandmother never talked about it much. She wanted us to remember, but also to live freely. The tattoo on my arm isn't hers. It's a symbol, a reminder of what she endured. Back at her desk, Emily pulled out a worn black and white photo from her bag. Her grandmother, young and strong, standing tall despite everything. Hargrove stopped by unexpectedly. Emily, I didn't realize, he said quietly, looking at the photo. Thank you for sharing this. But even with newfound understanding, not everyone was kind. Some coworkers whispered that her story was too heavy for the workplace. Others doubted it, thinking it was a secret she wanted to keep. Emily felt torn. She wanted to be seen for who she was now, not just for her family's pain. But the tattoo made that impossible. Still, she kept working hard, determined not to let the past define her future. The office would never be the same. After the photo and the story quietly spread around the office, things changed again, this time, more sharply. Some coworkers offered support, sending emails or stopping by to say, "I'm sorry," or "Thank you for sharing." But others grew distant, uncomfortable around Emily. Mr. Hargrove tried to protect her, but even he seemed unsure how to handle the growing tension. Then, the worst happened. A confidential company newsletter leaked, and someone had added a cruel, anonymous comment questioning if Emily's story was just a sob story, or a way to get special treatment. Emily found out when Lisa came to her, tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Emily. Someone wrote that about you." Emily's heart broke. She had hoped to find safety at work, but instead, she felt exposed and alone. That night, she sat quietly in her small apartment, staring at her tattoo in the mirror. The numbers weren't just ink, they were a burden and a badge all at once. The next day, Emily surprised everyone. She asked Mr. Hargrove if she could speak at the next company meeting. Nervous but determined, she prepared a short speech. When the day came, the whole office gathered. Emily stood before them, her voice steady but full of emotion. She spoke about her grandmother's suffering, the horrors of the past, and why the tattoo mattered, not as a mark of shame, but as a symbol of resilience. She explained how remembering history was a way to fight hatred, even today. Silence filled the room. Then, one by one, coworkers began to applaud. Some wiped away tears. Mr. Hargrove smiled with pride. Emily's courage broke through the walls of fear and misunderstanding. Her tattoo wasn't just a secret anymore, it was a story that needed to be heard. And from that day on, Emily wasn't just a quiet employee. She was a voice for remembrance and hope. After Emily's speech, the office slowly changed. The whispers stopped, replaced by quiet respect. People began to see her not just as a coworker, but as someone brave and real. Emily still wore long sleeves sometimes, but now it wasn't to hide, it was a choice. Her tattoo was part of her story, her family's story, and she was proud of it. Mr. Hargrove invited her to help create a small exhibit in the office about remembering history and standing against hate. Emily agreed. She wanted others to understand that the past still mattered. Lisa became one of her closest friends, always checking in and listening. Emily started joining company events, and even gave talks at nearby schools about courage and memory. Some days were hard. Memories of her grandmother's stories haunted her. But Emily knew she wasn't alone anymore. Her grandmother had survived so much. Now, Emily was carrying that strength forward. One evening, as she left the office, her mother called. "I'm proud of you," she said softly. "You're making sure no one forgets." Emily smiled. "It's just the beginning." She looked at the tattoo one last time, before rolling up her sleeve. It wasn't just ink, it was a promise. A promise to never forget, and to always speak up, no matter how loud or small her voice might be. The past was part of her, but the future was hers to write. That completes the full story based on your initial request and outline. Here's a quick recap of what we have. Introduction. The office and the tattoo. The questions begin, the uncovering, the fallout and revelation, new beginnings and hope. Would you like me to write the entire story in one continuous narrative? Turn this into a narration script optimized for video. Add suspenseful hooks or cliffhangers at the end of each part, or help with any other specific adjustments. Just let me know. Since the full story parts are complete, the next best step is to compile the full story into one smooth, continuous narrative ready for narration, keeping it emotionally engaging and easy to follow. Here's what I can do next. Write the entire story in a flowing, natural style from start to finish. Keep language simple and clear, 7th grade level. Add subtle suspense and emotional beats throughout. Keep the story length under 2,500 words as you requested. Shall I proceed with that? Or do you want me to add any other elements first?